Normally, when it comes to the Chicago Bears, we cannot go 1 to 2 days without something changing on the roster between signings, between injuries. We got a lot. And so now we finally got the MRI results on Kyle Monangai, and he's slated to miss some significant time. And with him missing multiple weeks with a hyperextended knee, it puts even more pressure on the running back 3 battle between Salvon Ahmed and Roschon Johnson. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Plus, the Chicago Bears signed 2 players in Marcus Davenport and also adding another defensive back to this team. We're going to talk about all that, plus Ben Johnson and how he feels about the readiness of the offense, all that and more right after this. What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go into this content for today, y'all. So yesterday, Jeremy Fowler of ESPN reported that Kyle Monangai suffered a hyperextended knee, and he is now expected to miss multiple weeks, but the Bears still did consider the MRI results positive. This is the second injury that Kyle Monangai suffered after the soft tissue injury that he had at the beginning of training camp, and it's just unfortunate. Now, the one thing that you do worry about, and again, this is just me talking, this is not part of the reporting, is that sometimes when players start having a lot of kind of injuries that build up, they have one, smaller injury, another smaller injury, sometimes that ends up culminating in a bigger one, and we hope that that's not the case. So I'm not going to speak that on him. But what we do know is that he is going to be out for multiple weeks. The fact that they still looked at the MRI results as positive just goes to show that it could have been a lot worse, and maybe even that they were expecting it to be a lot worse. So thank God that it's not. But the multiple weeks still does matter, especially when you're only a few weeks away from the opening of week 1. Now, there is a complete chance that he's going to be healthy and ready to go by week 1, and that's why they're sitting him out for the number of weeks that they are. They could have just be looking at this as, all right, bet preseason, you're done. You're done for preseason. You're done for training camp. We already know what you can bring. We'll see you once the regular season starts back. That is there, right? But this is the second injury interruption from him in camp, and so you have no incentive and no need to rush him back at all. Kyle Monangai is too important to what you're trying to do offensively during the regular season to rush him back and risk it turning into anything else, right? The power that he has, it complements so much of the way that DeAndre Swift runs, so you want to have that in the regular season. So that's what I look at this as until further notice and until we get closer to the regular season. And if for some reason he's not there or if he gets placed on IR or anything like that, that's when I worry about it more long term. But I'm taking this right now personally. The way that I'm personally taking this as, especially with him suffering another injury earlier, they're not even going to worry about it. Preseason's done for him. We'll see you in the regular season. Just keep doing what you need to do. Keep getting familiar with the playbook, those type of things. And then we already know that you're a weapon, and that's just it. But it does it change the fact that do the Bears now carry 4 running backs? Well, we've been talking about the running 3 battle coming down to Salvon Ahmed or Roschon Johnson. Does this maybe increase the chance that both those guys are going to make it? We'll see, right? Like, the battle now becomes even more like people are already looking at it because, I do think that, depending on who wins that battle, it could be like you want to go deeper into your running game again to keep everybody fresh. That's the motto. If you've been noticing anything that we've been talking about a lot here in Chicago Bears Central is just the fact that depth is important. The more depth that you can have and quality depth, not just bodies to say that you can have bodies, but the more quality depth that you have, the fresher that you're able to keep your players. Sure, that may take a hit off their overall numbers, but at the end of the day, it's about what you're trying to achieve as a team. This team is trying to achieve greatness this season, especially offensively. So, we'll see what happens there. But no need to rush Kyle Monangai back. He's going to be there whenever he's there, and we know that once he is. Keep in mind, he had 783 yards rushing last season without being a big factor in a part of the game plan for the first couple of weeks there of the season. So, Kyle Monangai is going to have more than enough opportunity, and we already know how he can help this team both in the run game and the pass game, and we'll see what happens other than that. Kyle Monangai is a monster. He's a weapon for this team, and getting him back out there sooner rather than later, cool, but you don't want to rush it. Let him take his time. Make sure he's fully healed and ready to go. Make sure any type of injuries that have been lingering on there. Make sure those now take this opportunity to get those fully healed up. And then let's hit the regular season with the ground running and our run game on the ground as well. So like we'll see what happens with that one. So that like what does that mean for the running back 2 battle? I mean, I think it keeps a lot of the same things. I mean, the running back 3 battle keeps a lot of the same things there. Roschon, you look at it, of course, he has the bigger frame. He's a proven special teams player, with Ben Johnson did say for the running back 3. That's going to be an important part of it. What he does in pass protection is going to be there too. He had 8 carries for 34 yards against Cleveland. But when you look at Salvon Ahmed, he's explosive in space. You get that dude in space, he's there. He's a receiving threat, maybe even more than Roschon Johnson. And that the 49-yard touchdown catch against Cleveland, you can't overlook that. So I do think Salvon Ahmed also has had a strong training camp from start to finish. There's no reason why that's not going to go there. If for some reason, Kyle Monangai is not available in week 1, the Bears are going to have to make a decision in regards to that, and those guys may be thrust into even more important role, and we'll see what's going to happen there. But outside of that, and talking about all the injury stuff always with the Chicago Bears announced a couple of roster moves yesterday in which they brought in defensive end Marcus Davenport and defensive back DeAndre Pierce to this team also. Now, we also waived running back Coleman Bennett, which you guys know I thought as an undrafted free agent, I had a lot of excitement for what Coleman Bennett could be. He can end up sticking around on the practice squad. We'll see. But, overall, he's gone. And they also waived a tight end in Kalanick. Also got waived from tight end with an injury designation, to correspond with those roster moves. So when you look at Marcus Davenport, he worked out for the Chicago Bears on Sunday and is, a really big addition for it. He's a former first-round pick. He has experience playing for Dennis Allen, in his scheme, and he brings some veteran experience to the table. He played 5 seasons for Dennis Allen from 2018 to 2022 with the New Orleans Saints. And in that time, he had 21.5 sacks and 25 tackles for a loss. Now, part of the problem with it is that his stint since then, he just hasn't nearly been as effective. Only 3.5, 4 sacks over the last 29 starts that he has had. So there you go in regards to that one. But he does bring in a veteranship that can add some depth to this team. And like I said, we talked about it on the breaking news episode, he's not really a floor riser. I wouldn't call, some veterans you bring in and you say they raise the floor. I wouldn't call him that, but I will say that he's a floor setter. He helps bring in somebody who's really good in the run game. Say what you will about his ability to get to the quarterback, but he's really good in the run game. And like I said, in those 5 seasons, 21.5 sacks in 5 seasons is decent enough production. If he can get back anywhere to that under Dennis Allen, with Dennis Allen knowing how to use him, then great. If not, it is what it is. He also has had stints playing in the NFC North as well. 2023 he was with the Minnesota Vikings and then played for the Detroit Lions in 24 and 2025. So there you go on that one. He has been, he hasn't had an impact on those teams. So I don't want this signing to be looked at as this is a huge upside swing or something like that. This is a veteran who knows your system, adds some depth, but it does make me question and wonder what this means for Shamar Turner, who Shamar did get hurt. He did not play in the first preseason game. And Shamar Turner was a guy that they were moving to the edge to see what he could bring, right? And he hasn't been there. So I wonder if this has anything to coincide with that. More than likely, he's just bringing in some veteran depth of somebody who knows your system, and that's really what it is. Veteran experience. He's familiar with the scheme. He, what he does on early downs is really big as well, and he just brings in some rotational pass rush and with a solid run defensive floor in regards to that one. And we'll see, him joining, a defensive line room that was already under big scrutiny and under the eye of Ryan Poles says to me that this is intentional. They see something for Davenport and what he can bring to this team. Now, also, he could end up not making the roster. If Shamar Turner does come back, has a really big impact, if they feel confident in that. Montez Sweat is also out right now with the injury. Maybe they don't need to bring him into the play with the regular season, but overall, if he does, he's a solid veteran to have on the end of the bench. As far as Prince, who got added to this team as well, he's a former 5th-round pick by the Jacksonville Jaguars in 2024. He appeared in only 2 games in his rookie year where he had 8 tackles, 1 pass breakup. In 2025, he was part of the final roster cuts. And then back in January of 2026, he was selected by the Louisville Kings in the United Football League, but was released May 5th. So take that for however you will. We know that the Bears do need whatever they can in that defensive line group. In the secondary group, because they just keep getting hurt there. Xavier Woods now also dealing with some stuff there. So, we'll see. what happens, for that one and for the Bears. But the Bears just continue to just trug along, man. And the injuries are really unfortunate. It sucks, right? But it does put somebody like we talked about with Skylar Thomas in a position to try to, improve and show what he can bring to this team. Malik Muhammad as a rookie has already turned some heads and shown what he can be, as well to varying degrees. So we're just trying to figure it out. And, this team is trying to find a way to still add some depth, even despite having a lot of injuries in the secondary yet again. And we're going to see what's going to happen in regards to that one. With that, though, and talking about the secondary and seeing what's going to happen, one of the biggest things that we're talking about in the secondary is Kyler Gordon. And ESPN's Courtney Cronin came out and said that the timeline for Kyler Gordon to return to practice is still an unknown, right? And Ben Johnson as well, like anytime he's asked about Kyler Gordon, he really doesn't have a lot to say, right? Now, Ryan Poles did have a little bit more to say, when he was asked about Kyler Gordon, talked about the frustration and stuff like that. But there's starting to be bigger and bigger questions in regards to what's going to happen here. Brad Biggs of the Chicago Tribune has, talked a lot about the Kyler Gordon situation, and he did say this. At this point, it's fair to question if Gordon's commitment to getting back on the field has been at the appropriate level. That's not exclusive to the last 3 weeks. It's confounding that he was sidelined through the offseason program after missing 14 regular season games and yet remains on the PUP list. Everyone in the building is tiptoeing around the subject. You have a better chance of getting straight answers out the stadium situation than about Gordon's status these days. That is a damning quote when it comes down to it. Now, we heard last week that, some people were comparing the Kyler Gordon situation and saying that it's starting to feel very Nate Davis-esque. And that does not feel good for Chicago Bears fans at all. We know how the Nate Davis thing went. So now that you have somebody in Brad Biggs who's questioning the desire of Kyler Gordon and the work that he's putting in to even get back on the football field, it paints an even more strange picture in regards to that one also. Now, Mark Grody as well of The Score also said this. I asked him, I said, are there things that you do want to say, that you eventually want to say? And he said, yes, there are some things he eventually will want to say. He did say that in light of some narratives being around Kyler Gordon's from the team side. And he asked that in regards to Kyler Gordon, if there are some things that he wants to say and that he wants to get off his chest. So apparently now Kyler Gordon has something to say and that it's going to get out eventually. Now, I don't know what this means, but the situation just sounds, to be frank, fucking messy. Like, that's just what it sounds like. It sounds extremely messy. And this is not what you expect to hear, right? Like, when Kyler Gordon was missing 2-3 games a season, it was easy to overlook because of what he brought on the football field. You missed the majority of last year. You haven't been able to be in the offseason program. And now people are questioning your commitment to even wanting to get back on the field. And you're saying also that there's some things that you want to see, that there's another side of the story. I don't know what it's gonna say here. I'm not saying that Kyler Gordon is uncommitted. I don't know. I haven't talked to him. I'm not in that building, right? But I will say this, that the reporting does contain some concerning criticism about Kyler Gordon, about his rehabilitation and things like that. You missed 14 games last season. 14 games in a season where the defensive coordinator was gushing about you every time he was asked about what you can mean in your system. No clear return date yet. The fact that we have already invested in you financially, if you're the Chicago Bears and looking at that, like, I don't know what it's going to. Now you have young defensive backs like Malik Muhammad, who's already benefited tremendously from Kyler Gordon's absence in regards to that one. And I've said it. I said I was gonna say it about Tyreek Stevenson if he got passed up. There are young players on this team that if they get a chance and they thrive, you may not be getting that spot back, right? That's on top of us hearing about that Kyler Gordon is getting nothing guaranteed when he does return back to the field, meaning that a starting part of the starting lineup isn't guaranteed. Any of that's not guaranteed. So when you put all this together, right, it starts painting a picture that maybe there is a parting of the ways coming here. Now, some people are going to say that should happen anyway because of the injury things. Some people are going to say, listen, with the contracts that we have coming up, we don't have time for a player that we aren't sure is going to be on the football field. And everybody's valid in that. But this Kyler Gordon situation is starting to go from a situation where it's just like, hey, this is a kid that's not healthy. When he gets healthy, he's going to get back on the court. He's going to be great, to now being something that people are looking at and saying, hey, this dude may just not care enough to get back on the football field. Now, I don't know what's going to happen here. We've seen nasty situations like this happen before with NFL teams, some with the Bears, some not with the Bears. This is a story that happens in sports. But at the same time, you're now looking at the situation, you're like, if this is going to get a point to getting messy, if this does, because what the Bears are trying to build here, And again, I say if because I don't know, but if this turns into a thing that is starting to become messy, you got to get him the fuck up out of here. And that's my standpoint as a Chicago Bears fan, right? We don't have time for us to try to build a culture and a team that's all been together. All that if this stuff is true, hopefully it's not. Hopefully Kyler Gordon's going to be committed. Hopefully the thing that Kyler Gordon wants to say when he says it is that when he gets back on the football field, he's going to talk shit to all the doubters and everything. That's fine. But if this starts brewing into a locker room situation, a situation where it's a battle between the coaching staff and a player, the front office and a player, whatever it is, you got to cut the cancer out before it has a chance to grow and turn systemic. That's what you have to do. That is my personal opinion. It's no knock on Kyler. I'd be saying that about anybody. Anybody that's on this team with what we're trying to build and where we're trying to go, if. Now, I'll say this. I know some people who know Kyler Gordon's people, and the kid doesn't seem like, I don't get any inclination of that from what I have heard and know from people who know Kyler Gordon directly. But again, that could just be those people. I don't know, right? So I'm just saying this again to be fair. And I'm saying this across the board with anybody on this roster. If it gets to a point where it starts breeding drama and starts turning into something else, you got to go. You got to go. That's it. That's regardless of injuries. That's regardless of field performance. That's regardless of any of that. Unless you are a superstar in the sense that where you are making or breaking this team being a Super Bowl contender, we ain't got time for nothing that can turn systemic on this team. We are too early into this process. We are too far in to anything for it to start turning into some shit like that. Get it up out of here. And I'm saying that if that's the case. Again, I don't know for sure. I'm not here. I wasn't there. I didn't meet the young man. But I'm just saying, as this continues to look like it may turn into something else, I just hope that the Chicago Bears continue to be fought. And I don't think Ben Johnson is going to allow it in his locker room either, from what I have gathered about Ben Johnson. So we'll see what's going to happen here, man. So hopefully this is a bunch of smoke. Sometimes when players get injured and they don't stay on the football field, it allows the narratives to continue to build up, and then the narratives turn into something that it never was. You know, that could be the case. You think back when the thing blew up about Caleb Williams and his dad not wanting to come to Chicago and all that type of stuff, and how for a little while there, people were like, well, damn, if he didn't want to be here, why is he here? And then it quickly got turned into no, like he bought in. Once he sat down and talked to X, he bought into what was going on here. So hopefully it's just some noise because the narrative is having a chance to build, but I'm not going to lie to you. It don't look good right from what we're hearing, but just because it don't look good from what we're hearing doesn't mean that that's the case. But let me know what you guys think down below. Last topic before we get up out of here. Ben Johnson talked a little bit about the offense and where the offense is at for 2026, and he said this. I feel really good about where those guys are at. We had a phenomenal throwing session before we got going today, and that was by design. We got over 60 plays that we were able to simulate, going into the huddle, calling the play, talking through coaching points, the footwork, the timing, the rhythm. I thought all those guys that didn't play in the game, they needed that. I think that's how you get better as the passing game, is you have to have days like that. It was good. It was a good time to do it. We'll assess whether we need to play in the next couple of games as we go through these joint practices here, and we'll see where we're at as a team. But I'm happy with what the offense looks like right now, and we've only get halfway through this thing, and we have a long way to go. A lot of people are expecting the Chicago Bears offense to have an elite season. And I think that's fair. When you base it off what we saw last year by the Chicago Bears offense and how it continually grew as the season went on. And then when you pair that with everything that we're hearing this year, especially with Caleb Williams and his control over the offense, all those type of things, you want to see the offense make another step. And you do want to have that confidence in the offense. And to Ben Johnson's point there, I think it says a lot. If you are so confident in this offense, you're like, we don't even need to play a lot of these guys in the preseason. You better damn well be confident in what you have offensively, right? Now, the joint practices are kind of looked at as like mini games in a way. And so sometimes, especially if you're going to play your starters in those joint practices, that may lead to them playing even less, if not at all, in the preseason matchup. And that's what it seems like we're on the path here if everything keeps going the way that Ben Johnson wants. But overall, I'll just say this. Like, Ben knows how to manage this team. He knows exactly what he wants out of this team. He knows what he's trying to get out of this team. And him and this coaching staff knows what they see in practice day in and day out for this team. So with that said, if they feel confident in it and they feel like they're hitting the markers that they need to hit in whatever, situations and simulations that they have for this team, great. Because I can't wait to see it on the football field. I'm not worried about going through 3 preseason games and not seeing my starters if it means that once we start the regular season, you have more people healthy, you got them ready to go, and we hit the ground running. That's really what this comes down to. And so, Ben Johnson is the right coach. And I know I keep saying that he's the right coach for this job. He's going to make sure that the preparation is here, and he's going to make sure that we are close to flawless in our operation as we can be, because he demands damn near perfection from this team. And hopefully we can get close to that as an offense this year. The step or the leap that this offense makes this season could be the difference between the Bears getting one preseason game or possibly going to the NFC Championship, and maybe even further than that. So we'll see what happens and what that matters for this team and how we continue to grow. But that's going to do it for today's episode, y'all. Depth matters. Kyle Monangai is going down. Savannah Med, Roschon Johnson gets an extra, getting more opportunities. The Bears defensive line needs more help. Marcus Davenport comes in. And now the secondary has been dealing with injuries. You have Malik Muhammad. Deontay Prince is now coming in here as well to try to disturb something. We're going to see what this team could be. And as far as the Kyler Gordon stuff, I really do want to hear from you guys on how you feel about the Kyler Gordon. What do you make of all this and what we're hearing? How concerned are you about it? Let me know that down below. But make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode or an upload. You can follow us at Shy Bear Central on every social media platform. You send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We're the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.